So, hi guys, this is a special favor to my very good friend Jen. She wanted to know how I actually did this technique. So I told her I'd do a little bit of a video. Unfortunately, what I was going to originally do it on is not going to suffice. So I'm actually going to use just a sample piece of wood to kind of demonstrate how to do it for her tonight. Because my husband had made a little bit of an oopsie when making one of our other door rails. It meant I had to find another sample to do this. So I tried to describe it to her in a text. It didn't work. So here, Jen, here is your video on how to do this. Old wood style using paint. It's really easy to do. So please excuse the hacked kitchen because we are in the middle of renos. But this is going to be a door on one of our cupboards. If you notice, the inside is actually a wood grain. It's actually done with a mid-wax finish, special walnut, but I'll show it to you in a minute. That outside is actually 2 types of paint, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a few minutes here. I'm going to give you a few other examples that I've done. Please ignore my really messy covers because I have no doors on them yet. So as you can see, this is kind of what I've done, and if you look into, I've even done it on the shelving and whatnot on my cupboards. I'm trying to reach up and kind of show you guys. We're wanting to go with that very old rustic look. I have it now on my window frames and everything. And I'm not going to show you the whole sink because I got dishes in it, but as you can see, I've also incorporated, there's a little bit more look at that stressed wood. But as you can see, I'm bringing you closer into some of these cupboards here, and you can see that faux stress look on it. And I'm going to bring you down to look at my counters somewhat here. So I'm actually, everything in this is actually homemade. So even those rocks are homemade. I got the cement molds to make those rocks. And I actually even took that mortar and I actually changed the color because it was really dark gray and I didn't like the dark gray when I actually saw it up there because I was comparing it to that. I wanted it darker than that, but not the really dark gray. But those are actually cement rocks, and I painted them. And it's going to be a similar type technique to what I'm going to show you for the stressed wood look. I just wanted to kind of show it to you. I'm really proud of this kitchen. It's coming right along, but we've got long ways to go with it. I at least have a doable kitchen. I had a small U-shaped kitchen that had very little counters in it. Now I actually have counter space. Now to get the doors on, that's our next goal. The other thing we did in this kitchen is my husband made a butcher block out of, actually all of this is made out of pallet wood, guys. We have cut and cut and cut, but this is, we actually made this butcher block, then we sketched in this river design, and we took a special sculpting wheel on a grinder and we grinded it out. I don't know, maybe half an inch thick. That's it. And then I put the resin coloring in and I put rocks around the edge. And that was a lot of work, guys. We even had one trip to the emergency for stitches with my husband. And then I stained that really dark. And the other thing is I actually put a live edge on that. I think that's probably still tacky because I put a little bit of a varnish on it. Okay, so really all it takes is 2 colors of paint to get that door look. So this one's the dark color one, and it's a little bit of, it's actually, I don't even know what color it is, so you just pick the darker color that you like. This is one that I don't remember what it was because I had to go get it retyped at hardware store or whatever, and they had to actually scan the color because it was an original General Paints one. And they scanned it, they got the color, and it was identical. They did a really good job of matching it. But basically I have put it in there and I'm going to add a little bit of water and thin this out. So we're going to make a paint wash with this. So You want enough in there that it thins it right out, and then I just kind of really mix it in there. I've been using this container over and over and over. And I actually use this as a base for a lot of my rocks as well. The other thing we're gonna have is this. Now this is actually this color. It's actually a gray. I believe it's called, if you can actually read it, Oster Gray. And I am not thinning this paint out at all. Now the other things we need is a light brush. I find these ones are really nice, the ones that are kind of chopped short. That looks like it needs a little bit more water in it. Because we want to have enough to have color in it, but we want it quite thinned out. And the other thing I'm going to have is, this is a well-used brush, but I'm going to have a brush that's dry, and we're going to actually do, the second stage of it is going to be to do a dry brush on it. So we'll kind of show it to you after. Okay, so normally you'd have this sanded up really nice, but I'm not going to really worry about it for this picture. I've got a few fuzzies on there. This is actually a board that I've been using to do samples of different things on to see if I like it. So we're going to just use the other side now. So what I originally do is I actually do the paint wash on it. And you can make it as thin or as thick as you want. I kind of like it in this consistency. And it does, because this one's not that well sanded and everything, it might just suck it right in. In some cases you may want it a little bit thinner. I probably got this a slight bit thicker than what I normally do with it. But anyways, you know, you make sure you get it in the consistency that you like, and then you just paint wash it on. And then we are going to let it dry. And a few people have laughed because sometimes I even pull out my hair dryer at this point, but you don't have to. You can just walk away. So while waiting for this to dry, I was just going to show you the mid wax finish that I use. It's Special Walnut, and that's the one I use for the inside of the doors. I'm not actually going to do one of those panels. We're actually using a V and Groove knotted pine, and then I just use this. This is I find this really nice to work with, easy to work with. You could probably get any kind of a walnut finish, the tone that you want, whether it's a Danish oil or whatever, depending on the wood you're using. I kind of like this walnut because it kind of gives more of a rustic look. And so that would be my inner panels that I have in there, which I'm not going to show you at this point, but that's what I'm using. Okay, so I was actually getting a little bit impatient, so I did pull out my hair dryer here. So for any men that are watching this and laughing, that's okay. I don't care, because I found out my hair dryer in this whole process has come in really handy, right down to even when I did my resin tops, my resin countertops. And yeah, hair dryers are just, they actually are good tools to have in a toolkit. So anyway, so what we're going to do now is we're going to actually do the dry brush part. And this part takes a little bit of a steady hand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip it into the paint, and then I'm going to blot most of the paint out. That's why I have this thing here more than anything. These are actually puppy pea pads, and they work really great for blotting out, but you can also use newspaper. But I don't know if you can see that. I got a little bit of paint on the end. It doesn't hurt if you get more either. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just blot this out pretty good. I just checked to make sure there's still a little bit more there, so I'm going to blot a little bit more. And then I'm going to just kind of do a sweeping motion very gently. I don't want to go right down. As you can see, I'm bringing in a little bit of, it's just kind of catching the edges on there. Now this one's catching the edges quite easily because it's rough wood, and it takes a little bit steadier hand on something that's been properly sanded. Now that I've got it down there, I'm actually pushing down harder now. So as you can see, it's picking up the grain pretty good. And it's really neat if you have like a notch or anything in it, and it'll just pick it right up. Now, I'm gonna go get a little bit more and do the same here. Now on the edges, I tend to try to bring it in a little bit more, because then it looks like we've got worn edges. So, and if you think it's too much, just go and rub it a little bit. Same thing with do it on the sides too. Just come in a little bit, and just makes the edges look worn. Sometimes what some people do will go and sand it. I don't on these, but so I've seen some people sand them too. And if you get too much in the corners, just smooth it out a little bit. But yeah, you just pull it in, and you can see now that the edges look like they're worn a little bit. I'm going to do the same thing on the other end here. And oh, I got a little bit there, too much, which is a good example here. And I just rub it down so it kind of is not so harsh. And yeah, that's pretty much all I do. So put as much or as little as you want in there, and then you get that kind of that distressed look. And I've done this on a number of things. I even redid a whole entertainment center with it, just to see if this is the look I wanted. But yeah, there you go. And that's pretty much it. And you just do it until you're happy with it. Some of them I have done more, some of them I have done less, but that's kind of the whole idea. And it's that simple. It's done, guys. Now, of course, this one's rough. I usually do it on the not so rough side, but I have done the rough side, and that's a lot of my shelves. The underside is it's semi-sanded, but it maybe a little bit better than this, but it's still semi-rough underneath. And I kind of like that when you're looking up. It really looks cool when you look up to the higher shelves and you see that rough look. But yeah, so that's pretty much it in a nutshell. It's so simple. Like really, the actual painting time maybe takes no more than 2 or 3 minutes to do it. It's the drying time that takes the longest time whatsoever. Okay, there we go. We have this distressed wood look. I'm going to bring this a little bit closer, actually, so you guys can actually see it. It's even picked up the cross cuts on it, which is pretty cool. So there you go. You can see, like here, you can see the corners and the edges. They're kind of highlighted a little bit. You can even highlight them more if you want. So that's kind of the technique. One last thing about this is on most of my cupboards, I actually put a spray lacquer over it, and that was to protect it more than anything. On this one, I'm not going to worry about it because it's such a rough wood anyways, but I prefer the spray lacquer, and there's different ones you can get, whatever works the best. Some of the Varathane products I find yellow the wood, so I don't like that as much. Depends on what you like, but we actually found the Varathane actually yellowed some of them when we originally tried it, so now I went into a spray, and I just get in a clear coat in a can, and I spray it, and it works a lot better.